This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses, and it will never get a remake from Konami. So it is up to us, gamers, to remake all these games on the PlayStation 2, and I'm going to show you guys how easily to just download these remake packs. So first thing you want to do is you want to go to this Google Docs list that I have right here. Surprisingly enough, this list is like pretty huge, and like I had games on here that I didn't expect them to be made. And as you can see over here, we have 558 games. Now, PlayStation 2 does have thousands of games on there, but this is a good sizable list. Mostly it's going to be upscale. It'll say upscale on here. There's a couple of remakes that people are working on these games. And the difference is that upscale is that they just dump the textures and then they upscale it using AI. But then there are people that are just full on remaking these older game textures. There's also people that are just like porting over textures from like current remakes of the games or anything like that. And then there's people that are just have it mixed where they have, created some stuff by hand, other stuff just AI upscaled on there. So you want to just download one of these. And then when you have it downloaded, you'll have a folder that looks something similar to something like this, where it'll have SLUS and then a number, and then that's going to be pretty much the ID of the game. Now, this is one thing you have to pay attention to, is that depending on which region of the game it is, if it's, American, it's going to be the NTSC. If it's, European, it'll be the PAL version of the game. This will change, so make sure to download one that's for your region. And you want to go to your emulator folder. In your emulator folder, you're just going to go to textures, and then you're just going to drop this on here. And as you can see, I already have some of these folders right over here, and that's all you have to do. You just put them in there. All right, now we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses booted up on here. You can already tell the mini screen's a lot more sharper. So if we just toggle it on and off right here, you can see that the text is more clear on there. But let's actually start booting up the game so I can show you guys where it makes a big difference. Now, one thing that's important to keep in mind is, it doesn't have my save. You can even tell in this cutscene right here, when you look at the outline of the character on there, it smooths it out completely. Even the background, look at that. It gets rid of all like the artifacting and noise in the background. I mean, it does a great job. You can even like see some like artifacting in the character icon at the side. It just makes it a lot more smoother. And look at that rose icon right there. That's crazy. It makes a huge difference on there. All right, now that we got on the main screen of the game right here, we're going to toggle back and forth and see that big difference. I mean, look at the map right here. The main map itself, I mean, just goes from like a blurry mess to looking super sharp. Now, the important thing to keep in mind with any of these games is that if you have any 3D objects in the game, those are going to look sharp already just from the emulation itself. Because if we go to the emulator right here and we go to settings, we go to graphics on here, it's already upscaling the graphics itself by just rendering it at a higher resolution. Like right now I'm rendering it 6 times its native resolution. If we just go to native resolution, you can see how terrible these games originally looked when you play them on an HD screen on here. So the emulator itself is actually already doing a heavy lifting on there. But the thing that's really cool with these texture replacements is that it replaces the 2D elements in the game. Because what happens when you upscale the 3D images is that when you don't scale the 2D images, it just looks out of proportion on there. So especially a game like this where it's a card game, it makes a huge difference. So let's look at some of the cards on here. So for example, we have the Petite Dragon right here. If we just turn off the textures, you can see how much blurrier. If you just look at like the paintings of these characters on here, I mean, it looks so much better. When it comes to the 3D models of these characters, a lot of them are not going to have that much upscaling because, like I said, the emulator itself does a pretty good job. So if we go back and forth on here, there's literally no difference because I don't think they did any upscaling on the 3D models in this game. It's just going to be on the 2D models. All right, now we're going to try a completely forgotten game that I hope does come back eventually, which is going to be Genji Day of the Samurai, which is honestly one of the greatest PlayStation 2 games that, people have kind of forgotten about. Unfortunately, the terrible launch of the PlayStation 3 killed this game.
Stages of the game will also be based on famous battles which actually took place in ancient Japan. So here's this giant enemy crab.
because this was the PlayStation 3 version of this game, was a launch title for the PlayStation 3, and that kind of screwed up. But if we boot up this game, I mean, this game I played so many times as a kid, and I don't think we'll be getting a remaster of this game, but you know what? We can do it ourselves. And as you can see, just from the title screen right here, title screen looks amazing. If we just turn off the textures on here, it's blurry. We turn it back on, it's super sharp. They did an amazing job of remastering this title screen on here. Thing to keep in mind is that any of these like pre-rendered cutscenes are not going to be upscaled. Most of the remasters, I don't think they're going to upscale the videos on here, so those are still going to look a little bit low resolution on here. But then if we look at the gameplay on here, oh my god, this is super crisp on here. If we just turn it off right here, as you can see, all the textures and the background, there are 2D objects. Those are super soft, and then when we turn it back on, you get so much more crispness. Especially when we look at something like the UI on the game, those stuff really pop out on here. Especially when you like higher up the render resolution on these games, like 3D stuff always looks great, but the 2D stuff really suffer. So it's cool to see that we have a way of like just upscaling these and then make them look better. I'm guessing in the future they'll add like these like AI upscalers into the emulator stuff, and it'll just automatically upscale the textures that are being put into the game. But even if we look at this menu on here, I mean, normally if you looked at it, it would just be really soft with the 3D model being really sharp. But thanks to the upscaling, now we can have both best of both worlds, you know. I mean, just look at that. Look at that item icon on the top right there. And then we just turn it on. It gets super sharp. It looks like a modern game on there. All right, now we got the greatest racing game series of all time, which is going to be Burnout. So let's check it out. And you can already tell the menu is so much sharper thanks to the upscaling on here. But along with the upscaling, I also added Xbox One controllers because I'm using an Xbox One controller. And that's the cool thing with these texture swaps, that you can also just change out the UI on there so that we have Xbox buttons on there. So that's really cool on there. And now if we look at the game stuff here, I'm just going to go back and forth right on here. You can see all the UI elements look so much better. Look at the speed meter at the bottom. Like here it's off, you turn it back on, it just pops out. Look at the speed, I mean the timer at the top. Soft, sharp, soft, sharp. And this game pretty much looks almost like a modern game at this point. And just keep in mind, like this game looked like this on the PlayStation 2. If we just go here, we go to graphics, we go to rendering, we go to native on here, and then we turn off the textures on there. This is what the game originally looked like. Like this was it. And then turn it into this right here. I mean, who needs remakes? Honestly, whenever they do remakes nowadays, this is pretty much what they do right now. And honestly, that's kind of what they do right now. Like Blizzard recently released the Warcraft 2 remastered, and honestly, that's pretty much what they do. They just took the old textures from the previous game and they AI upscaled it. Same exact thing that happened with the GTA trilogy. That's what they did. With the definitive editions, they just took the old textures from the previous game and then just upscaled it using AI. So why give the game developers who are lazy money when you can just do it yourself? But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you liked it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. And make sure to subscribe to my channel. We're so close to hitting 500 subscribers. So if you could just give me a subscription, I would really appreciate it. But if you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.